So there's this idea that transgenerational trauma or trauma from the family or from the ancestry is something that needs to be healed. And actually in this work, what I recognize is that in some ways it's about healing, but in some ways it's not at all about healing. It's simply about acknowledging whose healing is it. Yeah? Because when we're entangled in the past of the family, we unconsciously take on roles of other family members without realizing we're doing that. And then we have the feeling that we need to heal ourselves. But the sub-narrative of that is, I feel that I need to heal my mother or my father or my grandparent. But I feel it as I need to heal myself. But really, at the deeper level, I'm saying I need to heal my mother, my father, or my grandparent. So when we recognize where trauma belongs and who needs healing, then that is usually enough for us to begin taking steps to move beyond the trauma in the system, or shall we say the transgenerational trauma. It's not to say that the healing of family trauma is not a part of the process of transgenerational healing. It's just not the main event. It's a symptom of becoming aware who actually needs healing. Is it me? Or is it someone else in my family that I have been unconsciously identified with and entangled with? So a major step in working with transgenerational trauma is acknowledging what is, but Hellinger used this terminology. It's about turning around, looking towards the family system, seeing what lays unresolved, seeing who that lays unresolved with, and acknowledging that suffering, and bowing to that suffering, and recognizing how small I am, and that there's nothing that I can do about that, and that event happened even before I was born, and then just coming into a deep surrender of not being able to do anything about that. And I thank my family for what they have given me, and I turn around and I feel a forward movement in life. Yeah. But very often what happens when I look towards my family and I see someone suffering is that something in me wants to help them. And it's very hard to get out of that impulse to help. Yeah. And it's that impulse to help which keeps us entangled in the past of the family. So the work of family constellation is the work of giving up helping and coming into presence. It sounds simple, but actually it can take many years and a lot of healing work to even get close to it. So it's not to say that, you know, we do this work, we do one workshop of family constellation and somehow all of a sudden we're beyond the helping impulse. And suddenly like levitating, meditating in blissful ecstasy. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. We all have our moments where we get triggered into the helping impulse again. We all have core trauma. It doesn't matter how much healing we do with ourselves, that core trauma always still exists somewhere in our energy body, you know? We're human and we always will be. Certainly there are shifts in consciousness that can happen. I think our core trauma becomes more of an echo rather than something that draws us into it in a kind of intensity. But the echo will always be there, even when it becomes an echo, you know? And in a way, this echo of my core trauma and the trauma from my family system, it's also like a helpful reference point in understanding who I am and where I have come from, you know? It's all who I am in a way. Even my core trauma is part of who I am, you know? So we're not rejecting anything in this work. everything is included. All the shadows, all of the trauma, all of the unresolved trauma, all of the things that we've experienced, all of the false selves, it's all included in the work. Nothing is excluded. Everything is included. And this is also a big part of this work, is radical inclusion, that everything belongs. Everything belongs. And when we begin to experience that everything belongs, and we experience that everything belongs radically in relation to one another, we begin to experience each other radically belonging to ourselves and each other. And then it's much harder for us to go into this bullshit story that we don't belong, which most of us get into in one form or another. You know, we make ourselves small and we keep ourselves small by telling ourselves a story that we don't belong. And through this work, we can get out of this story and begin claiming our true size in this life, which is infinite in its size.